Good day and welcome to the round of 16, which will be starting now. The student StarCraft AI tournament is back, but first we've got to decide who will be the last entrant of the round of 16, and to that end we will start with the game, sorry about that, it's Microwave versus Neo Edmund Zerg, and there we are. So all's recording satisfactorily. And this was where two bots ended with exactly the same score, and we needed to decide who is going to go on. And we've got a, New Edmund Zerg doing a 4-poo, which should come as no surprise. And the other end of the map we've got Microwave starting out with a creep colony, which is now morphing into a sunken and a couple of lings of its own probably. So this should be easy. The 6 lings kill the one scouting drone and now are going to town on the lings of Neo Edmund Zerg, but together with the sunken and the increasing, ever-increasing number of workers, I'd say Microwave has got this lockdown. And that is good to see. Well, of course there can be something done with Micro, but you can see already, although Neo Edmund Zerg has got the army lead, Microwave is even bringing home its scouting drone, starting another hatchery, and has got the sunken in place. And behind this, nothing much else is happening for Neo Edmund Zerg. So, although Microwave is a little bit behind in army supply, about 6 lings behind actually, it's got the defender's advantage, and it will soon have another hatchery. And of course, it should be careful not to lose too many lings, because even a 4-poo can muster quite an army of one base, and then if the reinforcements catch up, it's going to be bloody. So a little bit of posturing going on, gas being taken, but now with 2 hatcheries and the sunken drone count is now 9 versus 3. And Microwave is quickly catching up in army supply and will also be starting speed soon, I believe. Yeah, no speed yet, but some kind of technology. And Microwave now being virtually equal in army supply with the 2 hatcheries. One of which is going to be a lair soon. You can see Microwave overtaking Neo Edmund Zerg in army supply. 3 hatcheries now, we've got a lair, and the waiting is now for either will Microwave try to do it with just the lings, or will it go for muters and finish it off that way. The scouting overlords keeping close tabs on the enemy base, natural even being taken, and now you see, speed's done, that the army of Microwave is routing the army of Neo Edmund Zerg, and this looks like a spire. So with 3 hatches, natural soon to finish up, 15 versus 3 workers, and a rout in progress, Microwave looks like it's going to take game 1. But now the lings are fleeing again. Don't know what that's about, but it's very hard for a combat simulator to decide when it's a good time to attack. And we've got a spire now, so once the first muters are out, this will be done quickly. We've got 23.5 versus 20 army supply, and Neo Edmund Zerg even losing a couple of lings in the retreat. That's not good, and you can see here at the main base, nothing much else is happening. And now we've got the first muter, and the second one as well, killing the scouting overlord, and it's 27 versus 17 army supply. More lings being lost in the retreat, and it looks like that even the muters will not be necessary, but they're going to come anyway. Because if there is a party where you can beat down the enemy... and a nice concave by Neo Edmund Zerg, defeating all of the lings and the last few retreat. So Neo Edmund Zerg is holding for now, but here comes the cavalry, and that is not going to be pretty, because Zerglings have got a little bit of an issue attacking muters, which is totally unfair. But if you have managed to make it into mute attack versus a 4-poo, you get the advantage of being able to kill the enemy without it being able to do anything back. So, of course, this is a best of 3. And then I'd say, well, let's hop into the next game, which will, of course, again be Neo Edmund Zerg versus Microwave. The map is a little bit smaller this time, and the starting locations are, although not optimal, are rather closer than last game. So let's see if this is going to work out just the same. Neo Edmund Zerg going for 5 drones, then a poo and 1 for scouting, while Microwave is going to do a 9 poo, and it might just work for Neo-Admin Zerg this game, because the scouting distance and the bot has already found the enemy. So the first 6 links are out already, and you can see it hasn't worked again this time, because the Sunken is morphing, the scouting drone is dead, and the links are out. So this doesn't really look it's going anywhere for Neo-Admin Zerg, and Microwave is just too good. And Neo-Admin Zerg will have to try and do something else if it can, and that is the big problem with a 4-pool Zerg, and Microwave even taking a quicker, another hatchery, basically doing the same build again. And you can see Neo-Admin with 10.5 army supply is making it up the ramp, but with, if the drones get pulled and if things get messed up like that, Neo-Admin might have a chance, but with the Sunken as well, I don't really think it's going to work out that well this game either. And with the benefit of the ramp, that's pretty ballsy by these links, but you can see Microwave staying on top of the micro and not losing too much. The second hatchery is now up, and it's going to be morphed into a lair directly. Third hatchery being started, and you can see this is going to be a repeat of last game, where Microwave took out Neo-Admin Zerg with a, well, nicely held 4-pool, and of course, 9-pool beats 4-pool almost every time, so that's pretty well done. And Microwave already's got the bigger army supply, so now it's probably going to chase back Neo-Admin Zerg. It's got speed, so speed versus non-speed, and it's got the lair as well, and the spire. So where is this going to go? But for completeness sake, I should let it play out, because these are elimination stages, so I can't chance it that Microwave will bail out and crash, and then Neo-Admin Zerg moves on in this game and the next. So we'll have to wait for a decisive victory. The Muters now find the Scouting Overlord and are then going to proceed to help and kill a little bit of red Zergling. And the Zerglings are now all dead. And this is looking pretty decisive. So that's the GG. Microwave making it into the round of 16 over Neo-Admin Zerg. And that is very unfortunate for Neo-Admin Zerg. Good run, but no cigar. And then we are just going to watch these games in an alphabetical order, and we'll update the bracket later. So first off, we've got Arakhammer versus Bereaver, and Arakhammer has been making a bit of a splash this year because it's got a build that can beat Ironbot, or used to be able to beat Ironbot, but then it dropped off a bit as Ironbot stabilized, and of course there are many more foes on the ladder and in the tournament, so that's pretty dangerous now. We'll see a lot of probes, 1 gate, gas, and looks like it's going to be a tech-heavy start for Bereaver. And the same can be said for Arakhammer. No 4-pool, lots and lots of workers, very quick natural. Scouting probes got it all down, and the Zerglings will now have to come and save the natural hatchery, but I think they will be able to do so, although there are 2 more Zealots on the way. And the Zealot dies at the cost of 1 Ling. And now the Zealots are making their way back. Should be careful not to be overrun, because we've got 3 hatches now, which will, combined with 11 workers all mining minerals, which will make for quite a formidable Zergling force. And you can see the Zerglings sort of trying to press the issue, trying to kill a worker, and that's pretty ballsy, making it out alive and going for the Zealot, and that is a big problem for Bereaver, because there is no other fighting unit. We've got a starport and a cybercore already, the probes are coming off the line, but with the excellent micro Arakhammer's got, it's going to devolve quickly, but 2 more Zealots, and I think it's now safe. And also a Corsair for Bereaver. And Arakhammer is still starting, I think it's starting the Spire. Is that going to be a Spire? Yeah, that is the Spire. So for the time being, this Corsair will have free range and will be able to pick off quite a number of Overlords in the process. We've got 4 Zerglings, 2 Zealots, and we've got a shuttle with Reaver Tech as well. 3 gateways, 1 starport, making Corsairs. And in the main base, where is the Corsair? It's going off on a wild tangent, while it could have been killing Overlords. Thing to note, Arakama has got a lot of workers. Saturation is perfect on only 2 bases. Spire is nearly done, and now we'll see some mutas, which will be a bit of a problem because Corsairs can deal with mutas so very, very, very effectively. And now I've got to keep my eye on things because there was a shuttle earlier and it's gone now. So the mutas... Oh, here is the shuttle. And the Reaver gets dropped on the high ground. That's very unfortunate. It can't do anything, and it will be intercepted by the mutas. But the mutas will also be needed for stopping these zealots, which they will do. There are 4, and the Corsair doesn't want to really muck in with the combat, so that's very unfortunate. And B-Reaver, although it's starting a natural hatchery, is losing a little bit of steam because the Reaver tech is being destroyed, dropped from the high ground. Well, not the Reaver tech, but the Reaver itself. And now Arakama is going for... where is it going for? Another building and another expansion, and perhaps even a 4th taken at the same time. And that is a very decent timing, because with these mutas you've got the map, and then these goons will not really be able to do anything about this, especially not with the Corsairs flapping about and not doing anything. So 3 goons not doing anything. The Corsairs are absent without leave. B-Reaver is losing the main, the natural nexus, and now the mutas got free reign, and behind this, these 3rd and 4th bases for Arakama are finishing up. And now with quite a little bit of goons, I think that B-Reaver is trying to do it again, but these muta incursions are really stopping the ball here, and the Protoss army can't really gather any steam, and B-Reaver at this point is just losing stuff in the natural, in the main. And these mutas can come and go as they please. 3rd base operational, even with a defensive structure. 4th base running as well. We've got Hydra Tech, and this is going to be a very, very, very quick hive. So Protoss... Oh, now finally the Corsair is out, but the muta count is now way too high, and even these mutas can't really stop it. We've got a Ling Hydra army, and these 2 cannons might... Whoa, they were really going to have their work cut out for them. The mutas take down some Zerglings, and perhaps together with the cannons, B-Reaver can get something done. Doesn't look like it though. The mutas are... Oh, the mutas are flipping out and losing a lot of hit points. 1 cannon going down, another one has been built in the rear. Cannon gets rebuilt hastily. The Corsair is coming back and is... Oh, it shouldn't fight there. It should... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And you can see B-Reaver being put under a lot of pressure. The worker count for Arakama is 41 versus only the 30. And remember, the natural nexus is not up. And these mutas are so bad, but the ground army is taking over. And that was, I think, the game. Arakama not waiting for any GGs, starting a 5th base. And now is just producing more and more army. Let's have a quick peek at the upgrades. That is what it looks like. And B-Reaver is starting Observer. Is that Observer Speed? Or Scouting Range? Whatever. The mutas... Oh, we've got the Reaver on the high ground, but there is absolutely no air cover. And although these Scarabs are hitting pretty hard, there should be a couple of Corsairs or anything, and the main is getting low. So it will only be a matter of time, and now the mutas are all over the Reavers. And that pretty much was the game, because Arakama is not waiting for anything to cool down, just taking more bases, placing defensive structures everywhere, and is going to pull all the stops. We've got 50 versus 30 workers. The main is mined out. Going to speed it up just a notch, because although we might just see a lot of cool tech units here for Zerg, I don't really think it's going to take that long, because B-Reaver's only got 27 army supply. Most of that is in Zealots, and the main army supply of Arakama's is in mutas. So that will be grossly unfair again. You can see the main is mined out. Arakama is all over this. The Hydras come streaming in, and although we've got an Ultra Cavern and a Defiler Mount and a Greater Spire, by the time any of these units will arrive here, the Hydra Core has taken over, killing the main nexus. The 2 mutas are still there. Ling streaming in, and you can see the map washing red. That is really a dominant performance by Arakama, and if you can do it to B-Reaver, of course there are 2 more games still in this best of 3, but I can't really... This is looking very, very, very dominant by Eric Hammer, and that's the game. So, without waiting, going into the next game, it's Bereaver versus Eric Hammer again, and this time you've got a larger map with a longer distance, so perhaps this time Bereaver might be able to establish a natural base, and perhaps the Reaver, which it will build probably... If it's going to do the same build, I don't really know if Bereaver switched up the build orders all that much. It's not really the most flexible in my experience, but if it's going to do the Reaver play again, let's hope the Reaver will come to bear and will be able to do kill a number of... Oh, this is a familiar sight. The harassing Zealot being cut down by the first Zerglings. And the other Zealot... Ooh, if the Zealot falls here, it might be over very quickly. We've got one Zealot on the wrap. We've only got one... Ooh, and we've got 3 links left, and that's going to hurt Bereaver's economy pretty much. The probes are coming off the line. Oh, and this Zealot, right in the nick of time, beats down 2 Zerglings. And for the time being, oh dear, that's not good, because this time Eric Hammer is going to press the issue with a lot of Zerglings. Have we got speed? We haven't got speed, but as there are still only 2 Zealots, although they've got the high ground, there are more Zerglings coming, a handful of Zerglings, and only 1 base, and this might be over real quick. Probes are being cut down by these Zerglings. 1 Zealot is coming off the line to help and fight, and the Zerglings have to make their way out of there, but you can see already it's 18 versus 15 workers, and the natural for Zerg is up already, and this is going to be pretty ugly, because Protoss only's got 2 Zealots and a handful of workers, and otherwise not all that much. And Eric Hammer had a very good match last game, so this game it probably will only get worse, unless Bereaver can make the magic work with the Reaver, and it looks like it's going for the Reaver tech, because we've got the robotics and facility and the robo bay as well, and we've got the first Corsair out, and I hope, oh dear, there the muters are already, and there is absolutely nothing. There is 1 Corsair, but it's running. All the muters are coming back, and just making sure that there is no contest in the air. It's just going to be all about Zerg. And you can see this is the 3rd right on the back of that the muter wave. And we've got the Reaver and a handful of Zerglings. And of course the Zerglings are going to die, but the muters are all over this. And this time there aren't even a single handful of goons to help and stop this. The probes are going to suffer again. Bereaver having gained the lead in workers again. But this time it's not going to work. Eric Hammer with the early link switch or the link pressure broke the workers and the resistance. The Zealots are trying to fight the Zerglings without the muters. They might just succeed. The big problem though, oh, the captains are there. And the muters, oh, the muters are going to walk out again. That's pretty bad. There is some issue with Eric Hammer and fighting cannons. So Bereaver still in this with only 3 or 4 workers now. And that is going to be really difficult, as the 4th base for Eric Hammer has been started. 3rd base operational. Hydra Den is ready. Defensive structures all over the place. And it's going to be an uphill battle. The cannons are well placed, so with a couple of more cannons and perhaps a Corsair and a Reaver, Bereaver might be able to stay in this game just a little bit longer. But if I'm totally honest, I can't really see it happening. The Lings and the Muters are going after the cannons, and the last cannons being under attack. The Hydras arrive, and the last couple of workers are being beat down by the Muters and the Hydras and the Zerglings. So this game is absolutely over. I will have to let it wait before calling the GG. But with Eric Hammer in such dominant form, Overlord speed, we've got the Hive started, we've got 40 workers almost, and the army supply. So that's very well balanced between workers and economy. And there we go. There we go, there we go. And this is very short and bloody. We haven't, you can't see it because of the overlay, but we haven't even reached the 12-minute mark. And it is the GG. Bereaver is walking out of this game. And I'll need to show you our beautiful website, and I also need to thank all our sponsors: Alexander Seidel, Bitcoin Forks IO, Bjorn Lindberg, David Hansen, Gabriel Sinev, Matteo Pitjak, Michael Suster, Newbie Edge, and Rossen.ai. If you would be so kind to support us on Patreon, especially with all the hard work and the beautiful tournaments, if you enjoy that, please come and support us and we'll make the magic happen and last a long time. So, next game up, it's Tier Protoss versus Cherry Pie, and Cherry Pie is of course the team of Facebook, and it hired Dan Gant and TSMU, and of course Gabriel Sinev is working on it as well as a project leader, so it is going to be a work of art, no doubt about that. And of course at the start of the tournament, the round robin, it did have some issues. It wasn't really as dominant, but as the tournament went on, there were really some learning experience being brought into play, and that was very, very beautiful to see. So it made it into the round of 16, no problem, and we'll only have to wait and see how it's going to do versus the top bots. And Tier Protoss, of course, is going for a 2-gate, and that is a rather late pool, but with Zerglings coming up, I think that Cherry Pie might be able to hold this, but there is going to be a lot of pressure, especially since the next two Zealots are going to come into play as well. Now the Zerglings are going to attack, but these Zealots have got pretty good micro, and oh, this one now has to run home and find his throw in, and it's going to die. And you could see earlier where Eric Hammer had these Zerglings which would run back while damaged. Cherry Pie hasn't got any kind of that fancy stuff, and that will allow the Zealot to target the weakest Zerglings and get more purchase out of their 100 minerals. But by now you can see Cherry Pie is taking over the game because the Zealots are being chased back to base. And there are only 2 gateways, and Tier Protoss isn't really going to be able to do anything more about this. If your 2-gate fails, you're going to have your work cut out for you. And a 3rd gate is now being started. Perhaps should pull some probes to keep the Zealots alive. And this is very unfortunate that these Zerglings are going after the pylon, which will give Tier Protoss the chance to stabilize. But you can see that Cherry Pie now investing in that is really, if you are ahead like this, it's very hard to recognize, but you could just pump Zerglings all day and wait for the GG to happen automatically. But these defensive structures cost a drone each and then 125 minerals, so that's very, very, very expensive. We've got 3 hatches now, 2 defensive structures. 1 more is going to be started, and the worker count for Cherry Pie isn't really coming off the ground. Saturation in the main is good, but you can see that by now Tier Protoss is sort of stabilizing and also going for either a cyber core or a forge. And now the Zealots are on the march, and it's only 1 versus 14 army supply, and although there are a lot of sunkens, Cherry Pie I feel is not in a good position because there are so many Zealots coming. And I don't think that Tier Protoss is going to let off the macro. Now only 1. How many Zerglings have we got? We've just only got 2 Zerglings and 5 Sunkens. So Cherry Pie is really going to take this on the chest. We've got 12 Zealots now, and I really think that there ought to be some kind of army produced by Cherry Pie. This is really ballsy versus a Zealot bot like Tier Protoss. Of course there are going to be more units, they're going to be goons, but it's just going to be a hard fist clad with Psyblades and photon balls. And although, oh yeah, there we go, handful of Zerglings, but there will just be a point where Tier Protoss, will it go for the +1? No. Zergling speed done, +1 for the Zerglings is started, Goon range is starting, and if this worker gets out, it's just sneaking by and the Goons let it go. That's going to be the nail in the coffin, although the natural for Protoss is starting out as well. And there will be a point where this Protoss army is just going to be too tough to fight off with Zerglings, and even though you have got quite a number of Sunkens, it's going to be a major problem. And as soon as this natural is up, the army increase for Tier Protoss will just be bigger and bigger. 3rd base for Cherry Pie starting, and Cherry Pie has kept up with the worker production, so is in an okay shape. And another drone is trying to make its way out of there, but it's heading back because it sees too many goons. and correctly assumes that this area isn't quite safe for non-combatants. So natural is complete. More gates are coming. Will there be a worker transfer? Doesn't look like it. And the third base for Zerg. Oh, and now the Zergans have had enough, but that's very ballsy. And although you've got a little bit of an eco lead, that's a hard fight to take, but let me slow down to normal speed and select everything. You can see that the Zergans have got quite a good surround and now reaching the goons. And although many of them are getting pretty low, the Protoss army is being decimated. This 14 army supply is not here. There are only 3 damaged goons here. The rest of them is in the rear, and the Zerglings are going for the throat. These are the most aggressive Zerglings I've yet seen this tournament, and Cherry Pie, with the clutch decision making and the beautiful surround, is beating back the Protoss army. And the Protoss army, if they're going to cower on the high ground, these Zerglings will cut off the probes, and that will be very, very painful. We've got 2 Mutas fighting as well, and now the probes are going to be damaged. You can see Cherry Pie just overtaking the game. Army-wise, it's about equal, but there are workers being lost, and that's something you never, ever want to see. Third base operational. And the worker count for Protoss is now about half of that of Zerg. And although the Zealots are, though the Zerglings were so badly damaged, and Tier Protoss is going to try and do this again. We've got 4 Mutas lurking in the wings, lots of Overlords, gas on the natural as well. And this is just a lot of hatcheries in the main. So no over-aggressive on the expansion, but just sitting back behind about 5. Oh, and all the units in the middle of the map, just for some extra map control. And I just pulled I ripped my cable out. Sorry. Oh god, I hope I didn't break something permanently. In my enthusiasm, I pulled the string of my headphones and my microphone as well, so that wasn't really all that superb. The Ling's trying for it again, and because I think they've got the superior upgrades and the +1 for the Zealots is not yet finished, these Lings are having a field day, and I must say that they've got some beautiful surround and micro. And oh dear, the Mutas are in the natural again. The main is getting low and Protoss is out of work as Cherry Pie taking yet another base and is not going to let off. It's just going to beautifully balance tech, army production and expansions, and all the Zerglings. Oh wow, they are such a ravenous beast, and I think it will, if Cherry Pie is going to make it far into the tournament, it will mean that it's going to learn more, and these Zerglings are really going to be a force to be reckoned with. Tier Protoss with the 2-gate, with the macro play, is going to be dismantled and leaving the game. It's 0-1 for Cherry Pie. Let's hop into the next game. No, I don't want to use an app. I have to... I really like to play this with OpenBW, for which I can only thank Imp42 and TSMU. Beautiful piece of machinery, and that is all that needs to be said about that. So again, we see a different build now by Tier Protoss. It's going for Forge first, then a Nexus, and then a Cannon, and Cherry Pie has somehow fathomed that it's not going to be about aggression, has taken 3 bases already and is really pumping workers like no tomorrow. That is really something, and that is what I like about this Brood War. I think it's really evolving, and that means that these bots are becoming more adaptive. So Tier Protoss, not succeeding with the 2-gate, is going for something completely different now, and is going to be safe first with all the cannons. And Cherry Pie not sticking its foot in, just going to sit back, and is on 40 workers already and has just started its 4th base. Tech-wise, there is absolutely, well, nothing, but just a pool and a Hydra den, and the rest, if you look at the production tab, it's a lot of Lings. We've got the Spire starting, we've got the Evo Chamber starting, and we've got the standing army, which is okay. And Tier Protoss is only now still setting up its infrastructure, going for more goons earlier. I think that's going to be a good decision, and with the cannons and the forge well placed, and with a small ground army, I think you are going to be able to resist a little bit of Zerg ground army. The problem is that there is going to be a large Zerg army, and the Zealots weren't out there in time. The first cannon is falling, and a lot of Zerglings are dying. This blood, 1 Hydra, lots of Zerglings dead. And Cherry Pie loses the first battle. I don't know if that's going to be a big problem for it, because It's got 41 workers, 4 bases operational already. Saturation here could be a little bit higher, but that's not too much to worry about. And it's now also going to build another hatchery. It's so keen on building hatcheries. That's just so very, very nice to see. But behind this, Tyr Protoss has been able to gather a large army. And with a couple of more cannons, I think it's in a good position. But the Zerglings coming in again, and the Zealots again are not well placed. The Forge is being attacked. The Zerglings are messing it up. And you can see a lot of blood on the ground, but these Zerglings are just so many. And Cherry Pie, it's after a furious start with 4 bases taken, I would have expected it to take all the map right now. But of course there is an expeditionary force waiting to be sent out, and you've got to match that army, because if it's starting out and then you've got to produce an army, versus this Protoss thing with, I think with the upgrades, +1 finished, and +1 armor being started, it's going to be a hard fight. And this drone is sort of stuck. It's returning to base. And look at all these hatcheries. We've got so many. We've got 2, 4, 6. We've got 8 hatcheries nearly done. And that's just such a lot of larvae production. And Cherry Pie has really understood that you, as a Zerg player, you also are going to need lots and lots of larvae, especially if you're going to do the Zergling thing. And by the looks of it, the Zergling thing is going to be extended right into the mid-game. And Tyr Protoss is going full Zealots, and oh, there the Zerg comes again, but again it's being beaten back by all the cannons, and Protoss isn't really losing all that much. A couple of hit points on this. Oh dear! Oh no! All the cannons are being torn down. And the oh god! Oh no, this is not a good decision. That's 600. Oh god, that's 900 minerals wasted, and you've only got to hope that your ground army can beat this. But we saw earlier, we've got this beautiful Zergling micro, and Protoss has shot itself in the foot. The goons can do a lot of damage, but you can see here on the left flank that these Zerglings are really ripping things apart, and right now you could have really used 6 cannons, Tyr Protoss. That's not the way to play. The goons for the time being are holding. They are sort of holding, but the lings are in there, and if you are fighting goons with lings and the goons can't really micro anymore, you are not fighting a good battle, and this Zergling is going to tear down this forge. Can't really make its mind. The probes are being pulled. Tyr is fighting for its chance to stay in this tournament in the round of 16. 5th base being started for Cherry Pie, and Cherry Pie has almost got 60 workers and is breaking the defenses, because there is mostly overlords, but there is more coming as well. It's not as massive as I thought it would be, but the Mutas have got things well under control. We've got 4 goons left, and that's all. The Zerglings are trying to reach out to fight the Zealots, the Zerglings of course, but they are not really succeeding because the Zerglings are too good at being aided by a Muta. And that is very, very pro. Oh dear, that's so very close. The goons are fighting off the Mutas, but the Naturals being overrun. The 5th base is nearly done, and although this 3rd base is not being attacked right now, Cherry Pie has really pulled all the stops. It's building hatcheries everywhere. It's got hive tech, more hatcheries there, 5th base, and it's just, let's look at the production tab. It's just everything. It's drones, it's Zerglings, it's technology, it's Mutas, and Protoss is with the back against the wall. The main base is being infested by Zerglings. There are Mutas over the workers. These 4 goons are really, they can't even decide what to attack anymore, because Zerg is all over this. And for a round of 16, this is starting out beautifully. We saw Eric Hammer and God, what was it again? My memory is killing B Reaver, and now we've got Tyr Protoss not being able to withstand the might of Cherry Pie, and Cherry Pie is cleaning it up in style. The 5th base is up. We've got the hive. We've got 3 Evo chambers humming away. And oh no, not more, and not really overdoing it. 70 workers. Let's look at the production tab. It's going for Zerglings, and if you've got Zergling micro this good, I can really understand why you would be doing that. I've got to let it play out, because there is a chance that Cherry Pie might walk out and drop this sort of forfeiting the game, but you can see Tier Protoss is turning light blue, which means it has lost, and Cherry Pie is moving up to the round of 8, and Tier Protoss unfortunately will have to fight in the losers round. Next matchup, we've got a ZVT, and we've got a lot of Zerg. So 3 of the first 3 games featured Zerg and Protoss, and now Ironbot is trying to make it happen for the Terran race in the round of 16 of the Student StarCraft AI tournament. Its opponent though is Zer, and Zer is not a is forced to be reckoned with. But let's see if it can withstand the might of Ironbot, because Ironbot finished in first place, and that is not an easy thing to do. Scouting denied, and although this could have better been placed at the natural... oh, and now the scout gets in, that's very unfortunate. Little bit of a gate logic error, and behind that it's only going to be 1 Marine, and then it's going to be all about factories, and I think we'll be seeing a couple of vultures soon, the unit which Ironbot relies on so much. Zer, not taking any chances, going to fight off the scouting SCV, and with 2 Sunkens, although Iron does have run by logic, I think with 2 Sunkens you are going to lose quite a bit of vultures, so the run by, either you need a lot of vultures, or you will need something else. And we've got the Hybrid Den up, not really anything in army-wise being produced by Zer. No natural being started by Ironbot. We've got a bunker instead of the barracks. And where is the barracks? It's being relocated to the main. We've got an eBay, and we've got 3 factories already. And there goes the run by, and oh, it goes back. That's very unfortunate. And this 1 vulture is being surrounded by the drones, and only 1 drone falls. So that's, I think, is a victory for Zer, but it can happen again, and with the added production of iron, you really need to shore up your defenses, or it's going to be ugly really soon. That said, we've got the first Hydras popping out, we've got the Spire, and we've got a Lurker as well. So Ironbot hasn't got detection of any kind. It probably will have mines soon. It's got a siege tank already, and this Lurker, oh, it should keep its head down. And we've got the first tank, so Ironbot's not really going to wait. It's going to blast down the Zerg defenses, and of course you can have one Lurker. But right now, Ironbot's got an aggressive composition with a couple of Marines for anti-air. Got a tank to kill all these Sunkens. And Zer is being put under a lot of pressure. And this Lurker micro is not... Keep your head down, please, Mr. Lurker. And this is a really good position because Ironbot hasn't got any kind of scan. Well, it's got turrets at home, but nothing right here. And now the Muters are going to be able to chase away the Marines, because the Marines are too weak, aren't even fighting, and are going to be able to push back the Vultures and the tanks. Going to need quite... Oh, and the Lurker... Oh, the Lurker's still there. That's good. It's got an Overlord overhead. There are mines now, so Ironbot's pretty safe. Got the natural up. And the Muters are, of course, here. And they are going after the SCVs. They've got a higher priority, but now are taking down this tank as well. Killing a couple of mines, and that's really good, because you are going to need to break that contain. You're going to need to take a 3rd or 4th base, especially since Iron is going to start the natural. It's already fully saturated, and you can see by the production capacity that Iron's got, it is not going to wait. We've got this one Lurker. It's really... Oh, it got killed. That's very unfortunate. Iron's got scans now as well. 2 comsats. Yep, there we go. And although the Muters are holding their own, the Vultures at this point are outrunning them. I think they've got the speed upgrade. Yes, they have. And although this Vulture is going to snuff it, Zer is going to... it's going to need a strategy to deal with this Terran encroachment. If you send a worker out, make sure it's safe first. And that's just going to cost you a lot of workers. The middle of the map is being... in the middle of the map, a battle is being fought for air dominance with turrets, with Valkyries and Goliaths. But once this 2-base Terran thing gets rolling, 3rd base is going to be started soon, although I think there are going to be a couple of turrets in the way. But right now, I think the Muters have got things well under control. This Valkyrie is not going to be long for this world. And now the Mutas return, killing a lot of workers. And I think that Zer is going to do this beautifully. Its Muta micro is outstanding. And the Muta numbers are high enough that they can deal with quite a number of Goliaths and Valkyries as well, although they are being repaired. The big problem is going to be fighting Terran, which has got map control. Oh, and another 2 Valkyries are going to go down. Oh, and this one just reaches the safety of the turrets, and the Mutas are engaging the turrets as well, but that's not something they should do because there are more turrets in the rear, there are more Valkyries, and these Mutas are... Oh, well, there are a lot of Mutas, and now they're going to flee over the turrets. That's not good, but there are so many Mutas, they are going to stop and break down everything in their path. The Valkyries are coming back again, and Terran is taking a lot of damage. Many SCVs are dying, Valkyries are falling, Goliaths are falling as well, and we've got 3 Valks now, so the Muta numbers need to be replenished quickly and not to fight over these turrets, and there is only so much. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, the Muta's getting too low, and now with 3 Valkyries and turrets being repaired, the Muta weapon is going to be dropped, and that is not going to be pretty. We've got 4 Valkyries now, and these Mutas had better run. 3 Valkyries. The Mutas are fighting for what they are worth, but against the incredible firepower of these Valkyries, nothing much is to be done. And while the Mutas were out away from home attacking the Valkyries, the ground army of Iron is shutting down the natural of the. And now the Valkyries are all over this. Hydra helping to defend. We've got 1 more lurker, but right now we have got 3 bases for Iron, only 2, oh well, only 1 really for Zer. And although the ground army is relatively puny, these Valkyries have got everything so well under control. We've got a Wraith and all. These, well, Zer hasn't got any supply left whatsoever, so that's not going to be a problem, but the Overlords are suffering. The natural is completely overrun. Iron starting out of 4th, immediately planting some turrets, and these turrets, Iron is really making sure that nothing can go wrong anymore this game. And I like that. No shenanigans in the elimination stage. And now the ground army has reached the main. There is a natural hatchery still, but it's not going to be worth much because Zer hasn't got the money anymore. There is a large army in the main, and with the handful of wraiths as well for some extra ground damage, it is going to be over. 5th base for Iron started, more turrets going to be built, and 1 peek at the production tab, it's just going to be a GG. And the next game, it's going to be Ironbot versus Zer again, and Zer will it now pick another build order, because the last one, obviously, although the Mutas fought really well, in the end they were unable to bring down Ironbot, and Ironbot is taking things a little bit further, blocking of the natural now as well, so perhaps is going for a rather more eco-heavy build. But we've got the first factory as well. And Zer, what's it going to do? What can you do versus an Ironbot in this shape? Lots of minerals in the bank. And there is the lair started, and really could use with another hatchery for drones. And Iron is going for 2 factories. Nice gate mechanic here. And this is going to be a little bit harder to run by, because these Sunkens can protect this entry and the worker line as well. And they are a little bit closer to the ramp, so perhaps gaining a little bit of an edge on the run-by defense. And Iron looks like it's going to do exactly the same game. What's it upgrading? Vulture speed, because if your vultures are that good, they're going to be that much better. Oh, and now oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The Hydras are being microed badly, and this will allow this vulture to kill a couple of more workers. That's very unfortunate. What are these stupid Hydras doing? It's only 1 badly damaged vulture, and you could take it down easily. But in the meanwhile, it's taking down 5-6 drones, and the Hydras are so bad, it's beyond belief. And if you are going to fight Iron and more, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, more vultures are going to run by. We've got mines in the main base now, and that's going to be a bother to clean up. And right now, I think there is even going to be the problem that there are going to be enough vultures to kill these Hydras. And if these Hydras accidentally trap on a mine, they are going to be dead. And despite, well, it's not really despite having the advantage of seeing the last game, is not really working out this once. Only 9 versus 30 workers, and the vultures are all over this. The tank arrives, and these Sunkens will not be there very long anymore. Iron doing everything on one base, and that is a very strong play if you can contain your enemy. If not, you are behind. But as you can see right now, the Sunkens are down, the Naturals overrun, the main is sort of being held by nothing anymore. There is 0 army supply for Zer, and all the Overlords are dying as well. Zer with only 2 supply left, and Iron mining up all the bases, taking a natural, making sure nothing's happening. Bunker, mines, turrets all over the place, and this is the last blow for Ironbot, moving up into the winner's bracket, and Zer going down to the loser's bracket, where we'll be hearing from it. Next game up, it's going to be Killerbot, or as the author is called, Marian Diveka, the bot's called Killerbot. And something similar can be said for Martin Royer's the bot's called Literbot, after Shin Sang-mun, the Korean pro gamer. And Literbot has been working hard on his thesis and Monte Carlo tree search and influence maps, so not all of his Gosu technology is in this bot for the Student StarCraft AI Tournament 2017 finals, but it's still pretty good. Literbot has won a couple of major tournaments in the past, and used to be doing so with cheesy play, but won one as well with straight up macro play. That's very well done, and let's see how it's going to fare. Killerbot going for another hatchery and a Sunken just to be safe, and really little in the way of army, and it's going to go for a lot of workers first and some defensive structures as well. So as long as there are no tanks, I think this natural is going to be impregnable. The scouting SUV is going to be killed, perhaps not. Yeah, by the Hydra. And now Killer is going for third base while sending his forces out on the map. Literbot, meanwhile, setting up shop with a bunker, lots of marines and a turret, is probably fearing some kind of lurker tactic, and might well do so, because we've got a lair and we've got a Hydra den. And the first few workers, oh, and we've got the lurkers as well. So Literbot is reading this accurately. Has not got a comsat, but as Killerbot likes to do a lurker build, it is a safe bet that you can spend a couple of minerals on detection and not waste them. So we've got 2 lurkers approaching now. We've got this one turret in the rear, and Killerbot is, well, I don't know really what it's doing. It's perhaps waiting for more units so it can make a dash. And if it can burrow the lurkers in this area over here, they can kill the turret. Behind this, Literbot is only going to make, or appears only to be making marines. We have we got an academy? We've got an academy, so there will be medics soon as well, I think. Third base for Killer is up. Workers are being transferred, nothing much in the way of technology, so this looked like it's going to be some kind of attempted bust. And, well, we've got, how many lurkers have we got? Whoa, we've got about 9 lurkers. And we've got the scan going off, but even though the scan is going off, this lurker is going to do a lot of damage, and these marines are wandering off aimlessly. There is a scan, but now the lurkers are going to come in, and although there are marines with stim and medics, there are quite a number of lurkers, and they're going to do a lot of damage. This one, is this going to burrow? It is, and the marines are suffering so much, they are taking such a beating. The lurker numbers are dwindling though, and perhaps with the bunker is down! And that is not good news for Literbot, which is trying to rebuild the bunker over here, but I should be happier if it were rebuilt a little bit further back. We've only got 5 lurkers though, and they are badly damaged, and with the marines, they are going to, oh, they're going to advance right on top of them. That is not good. And now the medics are all alone. We've got 3 more marines, but there are so many lurkers, and we've got the third base up. There is no worker, no extra base being produced. A couple of drones stuck here on the power generator, but the number of lurkers in the natural has grown out of control, and you are going to need quite a decent strategy to be able to deal with them. But already the marines are being fought down by the Zerglings. That is not good. Literbot trying to do this bio only, and if you are going to fight bio only, your Marine Micro versus Lurkers needs to be better, and you can see the problem. Marines are wandering off without a clue. There is no scan left, there is no turret, and by now we've got about 9 Lurkers. I must be very much mistaken if not more are coming. And right now the Lurkers are reaching the gas as well. There is one more bunker, but there is no Marine in it, and there you go. The Lurkers just going to leapfrog into the SCV lines. One more Marine. Yeah, you'd better stay inside that barracks because that's not going to do you a whole lot of good. And by now we've got quite an assembly of Lurkers in here, and they are tearing down the Terran base record speed. No 4th base yet, handful of Zerglings, handful of Lurkers, and now all the defenses are broken. These Zerglings add a nice bit of DPS, and Killerbot looks quite on the ball here. Litterbot dropping it a little bit because the micro of these Marines versus the Lurkers was so bad, and that's the GG. Killerbot taking the first game, and let's see in the second game of this best of 3 if it's going to be able to do anything better. This bio build obviously didn't really work very well. Perhaps it could do some kind of mech build, because we saw Iron earlier with the mech and with the vultures, which Litterbot can use as well. Do quite well against Zer, and well, what can you do? Again, we see Killerbot going for a, wow, that's a 12 pool, and Litterbot is going for, looks like, just a barracks, couple of depots. Nothing too dissimilar here, and Killerbot going for a quite late pool and a third hatchery, so it's going to be aggressive again. Nice defensive structure. Litterbot, what's it going to do? It's now going to build some kind of a corral to protect its workers better. And although I like it, I like this setup because these Marines can really fire, can maybe protect with range these depots as well. I like the defensive setup, but I fear versus Killerbot you are going to need a bit of aggression as well. First 2 links coming in, just going to have a look. And by now there are already that many Marines, that these 2 Zerglings, and they're only a sort of scouting force. They're not really, don't really look like they're going to do much fighting by themselves. Only 1 army supply for Killerbot, lots of workers ahead of the Terran. And Terran is going to, looks like it's going for a counter push, and that's always a good idea. Zerg only, oh no, oh dear, that would have been so deadly, because although there are a couple of Sunkens, if you march these 20 Marines over here, perhaps send a couple of medics after them, it's going to be quite deadly. Now Killerbot, what's it going to do? Sending out a drone for perhaps a 3rd base, and quietly building a couple of Hydras, a couple of Zerglings, and it will be all about the battle over here. The defensive position for Litterbot is better, and we can only hope that there aren't going to be any Lurkers, but with a small peek at the... Oh yeah, Lurker rest pack is done. There are going to be Lurkers, and Litterbot now has got a turret, and I feel that this defensive position is a little bit better, but the academy is late and it's only going to be 1 turret, so this is going to be another one of those situations where you just got to be able to win the fight. Killerbot just taking another main, not seeing a suitable base. I think it likes the gas. And Litterbot is going to go for the hard defense again. The academy is ready. A lot of Marines are being built, and the Lurkers are coming in here, and the Marines are really... they aren't really succeeding. No, the Marines, again, it's not looking good for Litterbot here. There is 1 bunker, there are more Marines, but the Marines, they haven't really got any kind of anti-Lurker micro, and if you haven't got that, you're going to suffer, and suffer horribly, because these spines do half of their HP in damage, and if there are more Lurkers than Marines, you are going to be in big problems. Now, can these Lurkers make their way up the ramp? Slowly but surely, I'd say yes. And, well, there are such a number of them already that it's going to be really hard for Litterbot to fight this off. The 3rd base is operational, lots of workers for Killerbot. No 4th base yet, but I think that this is going to be a quick elimination out of the round of 16 of Litterbot. And of course we've got the loser round as well, but that's a hard fight, and well, what can you do? No more Marines, lurker numbers ever increasing, going to leapfrog up into the base, and that is going to be a hard lot. Just army production, and Killerbot is one of these bots which doesn't really believe in pacifism and not keeping a large standing army. Only 47 workers. It could produce a lot more. 4th base being started, but it's making sure that the enemy base is being torn down as well. And I like how it distributes its attacking units over all the buildings and killing them at the same time. And that was the game. GG. Killerbot moving on. Elitebot being demoted to the loser bracket. Now, McRave versus Alien, and McRave has been beating bots down with a vengeance. It has, before the tournament, long been the number 2 bot behind Crazio and before Ironbot, but as Crazio isn't participating in this tournament, McRave's chances are, well, if it gets versus Iron, it's definitely one of the 2 main contenders for the title, I would say, still. And McRave is going for an early aggression, and for some reason this Zealot is moving back. Could have done a lot of damage, could have maybe taken out this Sunken. And now Alien's got 2 groups of Lings, so 4 Lings in total of its own. And look at this nice SimCity. So McRave really safe, and I would rather have seen it had done something more aggressive with these 3 Zealots, because if you are going to build Zealots, better do something with them. And Alien looks like, with 3 hatcheries, well, it's quite a number of drones as well, going for the gas, but also a large number of Zerglings, and I like that. Because oftentimes you see bots just not getting any units and attacking up to something really magnificent, but if they are going to do so and there is no army, then you can't really, well, you got to have a passive enemy, and if you got a passive enemy, it's not really likely you are going to encounter it in the later stages of a tournament, because all these bots are so responsive nowadays that you really can't get away with sitting back for 10 minutes and then sending over some Guardians. So Alien going for Hydra Den, no 3rd base yet. McRave has got the natural up, sending out a worker. And Alien, what's it going to do? What's its game plan going to be? Because McRave's sitting pretty safely behind its SimCity with a couple of goons and a cannon, and not really doing much else. And, well, mysterious music. 3rd base being taken. Oh, and sorry I missed that. McRave is moving out, and it might well do so, because it's got 22 versus 12 army supply, plus 1 is not entirely finished. And that might have been a better timing, but the Hydras and the Zerglings, I think, can be quite adequate in fighting back this Protoss force, and if they are falling back to these 2 Sunkens, they are in a good position. And the 3rd base is nearing completion. McRave itself is just going to build more gateways, and I think there is only so much you can do with gateway units. Then again, they are pretty strong, and Alien is going to try and take a bite out of this small army, but hasn't really got the army size itself to do too much. And McRave has got the bigger army, so Alien should be a little bit hesitant in fighting. 3rd base up, might transfer some workers. The workers are getting out because the army is pushing back the Protoss for a little bit, but the Hydras, the movement is really a bit... you'd like to have them a little bit more responsive, really. And if you are going to be using 13k APM or 12k, what is it? You'd better make sure that your Hydras are on point, because these goons are really kiting these Zerglings, and now it's only Hydras, and that is not all that good. But the worker transfer is arriving at the 3rd base finally, and one is being sent back for reasons. The Protoss army is now about triple the size of that of the Zerg, and as a Zerg you really can't do that for too long. Killing a couple of Zealots with the Hydras is good, and then losing a couple of Lings to Goons is not. Losing Overlords isn't good either, but you can get away with it. We've got Templar tech for McRave. McRave, no third base yet. And is this Brood War music? Apparently it is. Apparently it is. I don't know. Okay, so McRave is really growing in strength, while Alien is losing the odd unit here and there. And you should be careful with that as Zerg, because it's going to snowball. If the Protoss army is increasing by 2 supply every 30 seconds, and you're losing 2 supply every 30 seconds, it will shift rather quickly. Although these Hydras are pretty good. These Goons have got the better range, and you can see that this Zerg army thing is not really coming off the ground. We've got a lot of Sunkens, but that's not all you need. You are going to need an army as well, and these Goons are being sent off on harassment base, or harassment of the third base. And we've got the first Templar as well. Is Storm done? Storm is done, so the waiting is for energy. And the waiting is for how many Sunkens can you place up in the natural. Alien in danger of blocking itself in. We've got more Templar coming. And if these Templar are all here, these Goons will look like they're going to be taking down the third base. And that is really beautiful play from McRave. You can see in supply it's more than double that of Zerg. The army is really large. We've got 4 Templar, and it's unfortunate for Protoss that Templar don't do that well versus Sunkens. But with the third base finishing up, it's going to be a hard fight for Zerg to get out of here. And the question is, when will Protoss decide that it's had enough, that it's got enough forces to bust this beautiful, beautiful defense? A couple of Lurkers here might do as well. And a couple of skirmishes going off. Lots of Templar in the rear. And Zerg is holding on quite well. The problem though is that the third is down. Protoss third is up. Main is not yet getting low, but you can't really get out of this as a Zerg. And we've got Lurkers coming up. That's always good. Is there an observatory? No, there isn't. So that might be Zerg's chance to get back into the game. Although I wonder if this Lurker thing can still get out of the base. And now the Lurkers are burrowing. The Zealots are attacking, but there are just way too many Lurkers, I feel. And the Zealots take a hell of a beating at the hands of the Lurkers. Oh, and the storms go off, and these Lurkers are almost dead already. And now this second beautiful storm. Oh, 1 badly damaged Lurker still there, 2 Lurkers still there. But the Zerg army is being demolished. And Protoss is taking a beating too, no mistake about that. But there are just still, I think, 5 or 6 or 7 High Templar with full energy in the rear. And while Zerg is on 2 bases, Protoss is taking a 4th. And making an observatory as well to help him deal with the Lurkers, I suppose. And Protoss is just waiting for another timing. And yeah, there goes another Lurker. 1 more Lurker standing between total destruction and Savior. The question is, yeah, there it is. There's the Observer. And once the Observer is there, it's going to be positioned right on top of the Lurker. And it's going to be shot down. But the Lurker by now is dead. And the Protoss army is going to tear into these Sunkens. There are so many High Templar. Unfortunately, there is hardly any Zerg unit left to storm. 4th base for Protoss is up, and I also like that you add a little bit of production at this base. So, and that is the GG. McRave taking out Alien. And let's get into the next game. Of course, it's a best of 3. And after this, we've got 2 more games. We've got Steamhammer versus Skynet and Woolybot versus Ximp. So then you know where in the broadcast you are going to be. Now Alien, what should it do differently to beat McRave? Perhaps be a little bit more aggressive and try not to get locked up. Then again, fighting McRave is not something you really... It's not really pleasant. And McRave, of course, is not the number 1 bot or number 2 bot of this round robin phase. For nothing, it's pretty good, especially considering all the bots it's played already. And you are going to need a very good game plan. And now this Zealot is going to do a lot of damage to the hatchery. As the Sunken this time is being built in the main. That's not good. and the Zealots are moving back while a small number of Zerglings is successfully repelling them. But now with the cannon and the SimCity, I think McGrave is pretty safe. McGrave could be try and be a little bit more aggressive, but then again, why should you if you know you are going to be dominant later on? Alien looks like it's going for not as many Sunkens in the natural, that's good. 3 hatcheries, that's okay as well. Worker count, nice. But if it's going to be aggressive, it will need to find a timing where it can really beat down Protoss. Range is starting, +1 is starting, link speed done, Hydra speed has started. But you ideally, you'd like, while the Protoss is contained, take a third and try to macro up an army. And now the Protoss is going for the Zerg, and Zerg is running, it's not kiting, it's just going to run. And there is only one Sunken which is not even finished. And it's a good thing that these goons are being sidetracked by these, by the Overlord and this one Ling. Third base for Alien, and that can be the deciding factor, because earlier it couldn't really, well, it did get out, but it had a third it couldn't really protect. This third is a little bit closer to home. And McGrave is going to do the same thing again. Lots of gateways all over the place. +1, nearly finished, and that is a very deadly combination. And Zerg really should try and keep his army together and not lure the Protoss into his third. Protoss is going for the natural or not. The Hydras are trying to fight again, but the combat micro of Alien is inferior to that of McGrave, I feel. And McGrave going for a total is going to put everything on gateway units, just build a lot of units, and the Zerg army is not fighting with the Sunkens, and then you will most certainly lose. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The Zerg army is only 5.5, while Protoss has got everything well under control. The third base is up and mining unhindered. The big problem is that the natural is being broken by all these Zealots and Goons, and right now there are only 3 army supply left for Zerg. And it does look like McGrave with the Templar are coming in again, but I think this game it won't even need them. The natural is under attack, being torn down record speed, and it's only one base, only one mining base for Zerg left. This one isn't really saturated. A drone transfer, well, you can transfer a drone, but there are a lot of angry goons in the natural, so you shouldn't really try that too much. And wow, that's 8 Templar. And Storm's ready, and there is no Zerg unit left. So Alien tapping out, McGrave moving up the round of 8, and Alien being demoted to the losers bracket. Then we've got Steamhammer versus Skynet, and of course Skynet is the bot of Andrew Smith. It is a work of art, but it's a little bit old. It's from 2013, so props that you can be making it into the round of 16 of the biggest tournament for Brood War AIs after 4 years since your last update. Let's see how you are going to do versus Steamhammer. And Steamhammer is a work of art of its own. It's built on University of Alberta bot by Dave Churchill and has been used for so many bots which have been based on Steamhammer that it will deserve a special mention for that. But it's quite a force to be reckoned with of its own, and I think it's the best. There is no bot based on Steamhammer. I feel that it's better than Steamhammer itself. That said, there are a couple of Zealots in the natural, and there is only one Sunken. The Zergling production isn't really there, and more Zealots are coming, so this could be over pretty quickly. And now these Zerglings should be fighting together with the Sunken. Now they are doing so. And the Sunken is really putting a lot of damage on the backs of these poor Zealots. Skynet going for the gas. It can do more than a 2-gate, but the 2-gate is just so very, very, very powerful for Protoss. I don't blame Skynet for starting out with that. Now you can see these damaged Zerglings are going back home, where they will recuperate for a little bit, and then if they have 2 health bars they will move out again. And you can see that right here. This Zergling, as long as it's got only 1 sliver of health, it will move back. And if it regenerates enough so it has 2, it will move up to the front again. And because these Zerglings have low HP and a normal regeneration rate for every unit, they regenerate pretty quickly, and then you've got a lot of fighting power at your disposal again. And Steamhammer starting the third base, Skynet being put to the test, 3 gateways, and the probes are going to have to come off the line because there is no army supply left, and at the point where you're going to fight Zerglings with probes, you are not in a good position. Will we have more? We've got 2 goons coming up, and that might be the saving grace, but Steamhammer is not letting off, is producing more Zerglings, and these goons, this one goon now, has sort of managed to hold the base. I don't think that these probes should really be out there that much, and Protoss should be producing a lot of army. This is pretty good. This one probe is leading off the entire Zerg army. That will enable these 2 goons to beat down the Overlord, and then they will we see more? We'll need more goons. We've only got 2 goons, and the Zerglings are back for more. The assimilator is finished. The probes are coming off the line, but these goons should really be in touch with these Zerglings because they can out-micro them. But if they are too many, they can't anymore. And there we go, the third finishing up. And now there's, these goons, they are watching while the Zerglings rampage through the probe lines, and that's not good. And these goons should really be careful not to stick out their heads too far, because then the Zerglings will surround them and kill them. And the probes are coming off the line, 1 goon dies and the other one gets surrounded as well, and that's bad news for Protoss because Protoss really hasn't got the economy to produce army units. And oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, the Zerglings, although some of them are falling through the probes, they are going to be in a good position to take this game right here and right now, attacking, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, and Protoss can't do anything, no more money, no more units. And Steamhammer, although only 11 workers on 3 bases, is doing quite well, just going for the throat, not producing any more, just lings, streaming them in the enemy base, and that is going to be all pretty quickly. Again, as with the previous games, I'll let this play out, because there is always the chance that Steamhammer will crash. It's not probable though, so that is that's the GG right there. So Skynet not really up to the task. Next game, and this time let's see what Steamhammer is going to do. Is it going to do the same build order? It's going for a 9 hatch, 9 pool, killing the scouting probe and then sending out the units. And Skynet is going to do a different build order. It's going for goons rather more quickly. That might be a good idea, but again there are 6 Zerglings and only 2 Zealots, and that might pose a little bit of a problem, especially since there are more Zerglings coming up. Is link speed starting? Yes, only 100 gas has been mined, and then the workers have been sent back to minerals, so this looks like it's going to be a little bit of a committed Zergling thing by Steamhammer, and these Zerglings are way too far out on the map with only 2 of them. And although we've got a goon now, it's going to be a rather ugly fight. Ooh, and the Zerglings, they are being distracted by the scouting probe again, and this Zealot is really should be heading back to base, perhaps with a couple of Zealots, and then the goons in the rear for some suppressing fire. You might be, and the goons are going to be pinned to the wall. Zergling the same, and this is even quicker. Steamhammer showing no mercy whatsoever. 11 workers and Zerglings all over the place. All the workers of Andrew Smith are falling, and this is going to be a quick... and we've got a... well, that's nice. We've got 2 Dark Templar, but we've got no probes, we've got no minerals, and it's going to be waiting. Of course, Steamhammer has found that there are Dark Templar. It's sending over an Overlord. The Dark Templar are now cutting down ridiculous numbers of Hydras in the middle of the map. The Hydras are running. What the... And these Dark Templar might just keep Andrew Smith in the game. The question is, can Steamhammer deal with Dark Templar? And looks like it can. 1 DT dies, 2 DTs die, and then it is GG. Steamhammer really eking it out with just a bare minimum of workers and no third base yet. So a little bit two-base play, but Skynet being demoted to the losers bracket. And then we're heading into the last match of this round of 16 top bracket. It's Thomas Weider, and the bot is called XIMP, XEMP. It is the carrier bot, and at the other end of the map we've got a bot which can be quite aggressive, as will be demonstrated shortly. Steamhammer, no, not Steamhammer. XIMP is going for 3 cannons, and there are 3 zealots as well. So the question is this going to be enough? Oh, 4 cannons now and Nexus, and there may just be, and the question is who can produce the quickest. And I think that is going to be XIMP with all the cannons, because Woolybot is, I think, based on University of Alberta bot, the old version, and it's got a little bit of an issue with defensive buildings like bunkers or cannons, and they will sort of bug out. That said, zealots can still fight their way through a lot of cannons, and we'll see how it's going to be done. Worker transfer for Thomas Weider's XIMP. More cannons being built, and you can see these zealots are wading in, wading out. The only thing done is half the shields of these 2 front cannons being damaged, more cannons being placed, so I can't really see this zealot thing work, especially since the first starports are out already, and then you got the fleet beacon, and no, not, oh, well, this one has got a little bit of hit points lost. And Woolybot is just going for more zealots, and unfortunately it hasn't got the code to do anything more. And it's going to be more cannons, small ground army just in case, cannon at the Nexus. And if you are asking yourself what these starports are doing, they are producing carriers. And carriers, of course, are pretty effective against zealots. That said, XIMP isn't taking any half measures, just building a forest of cannons outside the natural, or in the natural really. And good luck beating that with zealots, which can't really, which really haven't got the right code to deal with these cannons. XIMP now taking a third, and these carriers are coming back to help him defend. And now all the zealots are in panic because they can't really help being slaughtered by these carriers. Nexus being planted down at the natural for Woolybot, but I fear it's too late because all its army is being gunned down, and Thomas Weider, XIMP, is starting on the next round of carriers already. Got the third base up and has got a lot of minerals in the bank. So as long as no one is fighting your interceptors, if you are building a lot of carriers, you are going to have a lot of over minerals, and you can put them in cannons. So considering that, I think it is a very clever thought out build order for an AI. And now you see the carriers, the next route with the observer, hitting the main base, going for the main power generator. And we've got 8 carriers now. 4th base started by Protoss, and more carriers are being built. So yeah, what can you do at a time like this? The natural's up, but the carriers, 2 control groups, or 2 groups of 4, are all over this. We've got 4 zealots left, and of course they can do nothing versus these, well, how many we've got? 3, 9, 18 cannons. 4th base up, more cannons will be built here. And although Woolybot is expanding once more and has got a little bit of money left, it's going to be found by the carriers eventually, and should build a probe if it's, or it can build a probe. It's not supply blocked, that would be cruel. But XIMP is going to run all over this, take all the bases, lots of supply, and by now so many cannons. Do cannons show up in the army supply? Oh, we've even got an arbiter, 2 arbiters, and that's the first game. So next game, will Woolybot be able to do something better? I fear it will, because this is a large map as well, and I think that Ximp is going to be able to get down a couple of cannons right before the first zealots arrive. Perhaps with a proxy gateway you might decrease the distance these zealots will have to run, but already you see the zealots, oh, and only now the zealots are leaving. We've got 4 of them this time, but we've got 4 cannons already and a little bit of a Sim City as well. And Ximp with the 5th cannon starting looks to be in a brilliant position to make it into the round of 8. Good day to you, sir. If you've last been updated in 2013, or minor update in 2015, I believe, to put a cannon in the main as well. And that was to help fight off Litterbot, which would win that tournament eventually. But Litterbot used to make a lot of raids, and if you put 1 cannon there, you can defend versus quite a number of raids. So that's quite enough. And the zealots are going for it, but this time they don't really have the stamina, and they could. This might be the last time it would have to make anything happen here. But it is not really looking good for Woolybot as the zealots are running back again. Many of them are low, and Ximp now mining from 2 bases. The first StarGate has been started. I'm going to speed it up just a notch, because although this is the last game, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. There you go. The zealots just can't make it. They've got this bad logic versus cannons, and the starports are finishing up, and they can't really touch these cannons. It's so sad to see, but if you are going to do a zealot bot, if you are making... Oh, and the cannons are... 2 cannons are down, but then they retreat again, and Ximp immediately putting 6 cannons where 3 had been earlier. And that's just not going to work. First carriers are being started. If you are going to build a zealot-only bot, you must be reckoning with a very good opponent which can stop that in its tracks, and the results will be similar to last games, I fear, because the carriers are there, and while the carriers are here, they are going after the zealots already, and the zealots, some of them are quite low. And at the production tab you can see large numbers of interceptors, cannons being built, more carriers being built. And the carriers are being sent over now. They're going to tour the edge of the map, which is nice, because as you can see it will touch nearly every expansion. Most maps have only got expansions at the edges of the map, and now are going to hit the main base. There isn't even a cyber core yet this time. The next batch of carriers is fighting off the zealots, threatening the natural, and it looks like Ximp will be making the round of 8 winners bracket, while Woolybot will have to duke it out in the losers bracket. The natural is up, but this time there may be no helping it, because the zealots still haven't been able to make anything work with the cannons. The second group of carriers is over already, and more carriers are waiting in the main. So Ximp, although it's very simple, it's also a very, very, very elegant bot, and you need to, especially with an AI, it's really hard to recognize it and fight it. So this was the round of 8. What we saw was Microwave first beating Neo Edmundzerg to make it into the round of 16. Then Eric Hammer taking down B-Reaver, Cherry Pie took down Tyr Protoss, Ironbot for the Terrans beat down Zer, and Killerbot made short work of Litterbot. Then McRave won versus Alien, and Skynet fell to Steamhammer, and now we saw Woolybot fall to Ximp. Thank you for watching this broadcast, and one last time, if you like what you see, come visit us at our website and support us on Patreon. We really need the money to keep this tournament going and improve the AI and StarCraft AI research in the Czech Republic. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you again next week. Goodbye!